You and Chris are going to be in here talking about God knows what.
And if I push this button here, Chris, we'll get that, and then we get... And that's way too loud. Let me back that off a little bit. And now, we're going to start.
To have a rhythm.
You got to have that rhythm, baby. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to another episode of the Retro Show. You know, we have, as of today, Chris, our 30th episode.
Really?
Published.
This is monumental.
It is monumental. And we're recording 30-something here, because I don't know what order this will go in. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Retro Show, and it is the podcast that is an homage to growing up in the 70s and 80s like Chris and I did. And kind of a celebration.
We were raised in the 70s and 80s.
Very
I don't know
true.
that we ever grew up.
That's fair. Fair point, sir. Fair point. The topic of today's show, as I'm fond of saying when we finally get to it, will be some of the top rock albums of 1982. And Chris, looking over this list, I can tell you right now, it was a big year for music. Big albums was released.
There are a lot of big albums on this list. And
a lot of big albums. And I'm sure I didn't get all of them. So
there's some of them on here that I'm just like, what?
Wait, what? But yeah, there's some good ones on there. But yeah, when we get to that. So as we record this, Chris, it was just last Thursday that it was Thanksgiving.
It was.
It was. And how was your Thanksgiving, sir?
It was excellent. My brother came into town. Monty's been on the podcast before.
Yes, he has. That was a popular episode, too.
He came to town and hung out and ate everything.
And ate all of it.
He ate all of it. My daughter, who's 17, actually stepped up and cooked the entire Thanksgiving dinner.
That's cool, dude.
Her choice. That's what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
She cooked my mama's chicken and dressing perfectly.
Oh, that's great.
Mac and cheese, cream potatoes. We had the works. Now, Mom still did the sweet potatoes. Got to have Mom's sweet potatoes. Yeah. That's all Mom had to do this year was sweet potatoes.
Here's the thing. We say they're vegetables. They're not vegetables. By the time you do sweet potatoes right, they're kind of like a dessert.
That is my dessert.
Yes.
I don't eat anything else.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, they're excellent. They're so good. Yeah, Debbie makes good sweet potatoes as well.
Does she mash hers up or?
Yeah, she mashes hers up and makes like a casserole out of it.
See, Mom's are just like logs.
Oh, just they're sweet potatoes.
And but she's got them cut into like square logs,
right?
And then she puts them in a baking dish. Of course, K-Roll nut syrup.
Yeah.
Christ, that's good.
Yeah, keep talking, baby.
So
keep talking.
Good.
Yeah. So we had, and you and I have discussed Thanksgiving food before, and that neither one of us turkey is like our first thing. But I'll tell you something.
I did see your turkey. You sent me a picture of it. And
I'm going to tell you something, brother. I'm going to tell you something right now. That's from now on how I do turkey.
Let me tell you, brother. From now on, that's how I do turkey. That's how I do turkey. And if you don't do turkey that way, well, I'll see you in the squared circle, brother.
No, that's how I do. People are like going, what's this? Good. Oh, it was great, man. It was really good. It was a maple bourbon brined turkey. And then I basted it as it was cooking with a mixture of butter and maple syrup. Honestly, you could put butter and maple syrup on a shoe.
Probably so. It'd probably work out.
And it's going to work out pretty good. But it turned out really good. It was a really good. It was really good. I actually enjoyed eating turkey this year. Of course, we did the ham, too.
I love ham.
Got to do the ham.
Ham's my favorite.
Ham is great, man.
It really is. It's so versatile. Afterwards, like
beans.
Sunday morning. Was it Sunday morning or Saturday morning? Maybe it's Saturday morning. I can't remember. One of those two. I chopped up some ham. We had some leftover shredded cheddar cheese.
You did.
Had a ham and cheese omelet. Oh,
yes, you did.
Good. So good.
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. I've got to do the Chris move here.
I'm a little early.
Yeah, you're a little early.
Mine's going go, 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 go.
All right, Wonder Twin powers activate.
Now we're podcasting.
Also, folks, if you want to find out where to listen to us, obviously, if you're listening to us, you found someplace. But there's plenty of places, plenty of podcast devices. Any place you get podcasts, you can listen to us. We also have a radio station.
Yep.
Radio.retroshow.net.
Do you know where I mostly I listen to our episodes because I don't hear them when I leave here.
Right.
I listen to them when you put them out, and I always listen to them on YouTube.
Yeah.
Sitting in my living room, I just turn it on.
Oh,
YouTube.
the ones I put up. Yeah,
Yep,
put
on
up there.
YouTube.
Yeah, guys, we do have a YouTube channel as well, and it's basically just a sound bar. There's not a lot of animation to it.
There's no animation at all.
No, it's just us, and then but you can listen to it on YouTube as well.
Yep.
So, let's see, anything else that I need to do as far as house? See, we told them about the store.
Oh yeah,
It's Christmas time, people.
it is Christmas.
You can go order Retro Show swag for your loved ones.
I highly recommend it.
As a matter of fact,
Chris.
I am wearing
He is. That's
a
very
Retro
nice.
Show hoodie right now.
Did they ever do just a pullover hoodie?
I will check and see. If they get that, then I'm going to put that in the list.
Yeah, because I really would like
Yeah.
a pullover. I don't want a zippy hoodie.
You don't want the zippy hoodie?
I don't like a zippy hoodie.
You don't like a zippy hoodie? Well, I'm wearing the zippy hoodie right now.
I see that. It looks good on you, though.
Yeah. On you, it looks
I'll get
great.
you better. I get you get a free bowl of soup with it.
See, I knew that was coming. That's how well I know
Looks
this guy
good on you, though.
is I knew there was a Caddyshack quote coming as soon as I said that. Spalding, you'll get nothing and like it, folks. So anyway, that's what's going on with us.
$50. The smells kid picks his nose. I love that.
That is fantastic. So, folks, we are going to go away for a second, but don't you worry, because we're going to come right back. And when we do, we're going to be talking about some of the best hard rock and rock albums of 1982. Hey guys, this is Butch from the Retro Show. And did you know you can support the Retro Show with a mere $3 a month? Chris, that's a bargain.
That is a bargain. I mean, you can't even get a Keurig K-Cup for that.
Yeah, except for those cheap ones.
Like Donut Shop.
Wait, man, I like Donut Shop.
What? Oh, those are good. I'm sorry.
No. Okay. So anyway, the supporters that we have, we appreciate you, and they are. And we got a new one, by the way, Dusty Breeze.
Dusty.
I'm sure that's what your mama named you. Also,
Dusty Breeze.
Dusty Breeze. It also sounds like the LNC Corporation is still in large and in charge.
That's right.
Around here.
For sure.
Yep. Kevin Goff, thank you very much.
Mr. Goff, thank you. Norton. I know you've been watching me, and I've been watching you.
Chris B. Thank you, Chris B.
Nancy Schwartz.
Nancy Schwartz. Thank you, Nancy. And, ladies and gentlemen, Josh Ramsey.
Just riding in off the range.
Riding in off the range.
Joshua Ramsey.
That's right. I'm going to walk into a saloon somewhere. Order me a
Fran?
nice sarsaparilla.
Fran
Adams, ladies and
Adams.
gentlemen. EM, thank you very much for your continued support. And Bradford the Behemoth Mason. And ladies and gentlemen, our original supporter,
Number one in our hearts.
Tanya Highland.
Tanya Holland. Thanks, Tanya.
Hey,
thanks to all of you.
Thanks to all of you. Thanks for supporting the Retro Show. And for $3 a month, you can too. Go to retroshow.net and you can find out how to support the podcast and become a producer. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back.
What's up, guys? Thank y'all for coming. Appreciate it.
We are back on the show. Of course, that could fill them with dread.
He's got too many buttons on.
I know. I only have 4. But you know me, I'm always looking at the next shiny thing.
Right.
And
What are you, the tick?
Spoon. The Tick is one. Okay, Rabbit. Rabbit. The Tick is one of the best animated
It really is.
series
It's
that
funny.
ever came out.
Funny.
It's hilarious because it was theoretically for kids, but it is hilarious.
It is hilarious.
There were so many jokes that weren't for kids in that. So
Well, there's a lot of.
I'm the Mad Midnight Bomber. What bombs at midnight? Yeah, baby, yeah.
see, people are going, "What's he talking about?" He was going to
You
talk
ain't never
about.
seen The Tick, and I'm not talking about that movie or the TV show that they did. This is the cartoon, and it was hilarious. It really was funny.
That's quite funny. Anyway, on to the topic at hand, sir, here on the Retro Show. We are going to be talking about the top rock albums of 1982. And when I put this list together, and this is by no means a list that is complete. I just did what I could think of off the top of my head and what I could find online of albums that were released in 82. And it's a big old list. And so this will probably also be, folks, a Spotify-enhanced episode.
Ooh.
So I'm going to build you a playlist out of all this stuff that we talk. I know, ain't that fancy?
I'm going to help him, so there'll be good music on there.
Chris, when you looked at that list, what jumped out at you?
The first album on the list
the first album.
Absolutely jumped out at me because, and I'll tell you why, that came out the summer between my 9th grade and 10th grade year.
Yeah.
And it was a huge success. Asia. It was played all summer long on the radio. I mean, they had 2 or 3 hits off that album.
Oh, yeah.
But Only Time Will Tell is still one of my favorite songs of all time. And our first day in class, homeroom, the first time I ever saw the morning announcements.
Yeah.
That was the song.
That was the one they did?
Only Time Will Tell was the first song they played. I'll never forget that. I mean, I was in Miss Allred's room.
Oh, wow. That's cool. The song that hits me off that album is Soul Survivor.
A lot of people like that song.
I like that song, too. But no, that entire first album from Asia was just a big album. It was really cool. And the album cover was so cool, too. The big dragon coming out of the ocean.
I just don't know that I ever listened to another Asia album. To be honest with you, I don't think I listened to anything.
No, you didn't have to after that. It was fine.
It was a one-hit wonder.
Another one off the list that hit me of having it, because I just saw him recently, was Dawn Patrol by Night Ranger.
Yeah,
it was released.
A good album.
That's a great album. And
I love Night Ranger. I do.
Listen, man, they're a great band.
They really are.
And if you've never seen them live, too, we've probably seen them as probably more than almost tied with Styx for as many times as I've seen them.
I have never seen them in concert.
Oh, they're fantastic, man. We just saw them at the State Fair.
Yeah,
fantastic.
I was out of town, or I would have went to that with y'all.
Yeah, my favorite one off of that album is probably "Sing Me Away."
That's one of my favorite Night Ranger songs.
Yeah, really good one. Really good one. Do you remember Rainbow?
I do. I didn't listen to much Rainbow. Now, Monty was really big into Rainbow.
Yeah.
He liked them a lot.
Well, they put out the album Straight Between the Eyes on that one. That has probably their biggest, most well-known hit off of that was Stone Cold. It was very good. That was when Joe Lynn Turner was sang for him. Now, Rainbow was started by ex-Deep Purple and ended up being current Deep Purple for a long time because they got back together. But he left Deep Purple, Richie Blackmore, in the 70s, and he started Rainbow. And his first singer was Ronnie James Dio. And then
we all know where that went.
Yeah. That's kind of the history with Richie Blackmore and singers. They last about 2 albums, and they can't take him anymore, and they're gone. Apparently, great guitar player, not that easy to get along with. But yeah, Straight Between the Eyes came out. It had some good stuff on there. Anyone that you see off the list that's good?
Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast.
Man, was that?
I'll tell you right now, I've got a cousin that's getting emotional hearing this right now. Yeah, Beavis, you know you love this album. And he had it, and I just couldn't get past the whole. At that time, I couldn't get past the whole Number of the Beast deal.
Yeah, until you heard the lyrics. Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah,
kind of scary. But he loves Iron Maiden, and I like Iron Maiden.
Yeah,
but I don't think I like him as much as he does.
Oh, he's a fanatic.
He is a fanatic.
He is. He's a fanatic. He is. And that's the first one where they had Bruce Dickinson as their lead singer, and brought him in. Now this is music metal nerd stuff here. I'm going to tell you right now. That album, Number of the Beast, was also produced by a guy named Martin Birch, who produced also the Dio era Black Sabbath albums. So yeah, Martin Birch did a lot of good metal in the early '80s. So yeah, that's a huge album. One that jumps off for me on this, kind of getting away from the metal for a second, is Toto 4.
Great album.
It really was.
Rosanna's on that album.
Rosanna, that's a great song.
It is a great song.
And of course,
that was a huge hit for them.
Oh, there were, Why Don't We Make Believe was on there. There was a whole bunch of hit songs on that album.
Toto was pretty big at that time.
And I actually saw them a couple of years ago for the first time. And Steve Lukather, who's their guitar player, people don't know the amount of stuff that he played on and never really got credited for. But he is an amazing guitar player. And so it was cool to see him live. See anything else on the list?
Oh, dude, this list is huge. We're going to be talking about this.
Oh, I know, but give me
Judas Priest, "Screaming for Vengeance." You got Another Thing Coming's on that album.
Yeah,
I mean, it's probably the only song on that album that I really that's my favorite Judas Priest song.
Yeah,
I like that song a lot.
Yeah, that's a great song.
It's a really cool tune.
That's probably their most well known.
It is
song out there. That's probably also their
for people
biggest.
that aren't big Judas Priest fans.
Yeah, well, I am a huge Judas Priest fan, and this was a big album for them. It still is probably their most well-known album, and there's some good stuff on there. One on the list that jumps out to me was kind of a neat one there. I've always been a Kansas fan.
I like Kansas,
and they released one called Vinyl Confessions. And that was notable because their original singer left, Steve Walsh, and they brought in a guy named John Elefante, and he sounded so much like Steve Walsh that a lot of people never did even notice that Steve Walsh had gone. And here's the cool thing about Steve Walsh. When Steve Walsh came back to Kansas and John Elefante left, he had no problem singing the songs that John Elefante had made a hit with. No problem at all, which I thought was kind of cool. You know, a lot of singers won't do that, you know, ego or whatever. So
I have such a big ego. This retro show's not big enough for the two of us.
Oh, well, I can get a bigger table.
He's got all the equipment, so he's got to stay.
It's kind of like the joke of like, well, he can't really play bass, but he's got all the gear. You know, he has to stay in the band, man. Yep. What's your next one on this list?
Oh, Dokken, "Breaking the Chains."
Dokken, their first album.
Yep.
Great song too.
Yeah.
"Breaking the Chains" is a great song.
The whole album's good.
They really hit big with their next one, which was "Tooth and Nail." But yeah, "Breaking the Chains" was a great debut by Dokken. And speaking of bands that debuted then, this is kind of one. It's one of those bands that they were kind of like they had one big rock hit. They never really charted, but that was Vandenberg, and they had a song called "Burning Heart."
I was looking at that and I'm going, it's familiar, but it's not.
It's real. Vandenberg, "Burning Heart" was a great song, and I remember I bought that first album, and it was produced. Let me tell you what I loved about that album more than anything. It was a great hard rock album, but the way it was produced, it sounded great on crappy 6x9 speakers, which I
Jensen's?
had. Yeah,
the
Jensens that I had in the back of the Ford Granada. And so it sounded good cranked up on my nasty little Sparkomatic cassette player.
There was nothing wrong with that stereo, folks. Let me tell you.
You know.
It got us there and back.
But what you got on the list?
Billy Squier, "Emotions and Motion."
Emotions and that was a good album.
It was a
follow-up to "Don't Say No," which is probably his biggest album, but that was a good follow-up too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff on that album. Absolutely.
I was huge into Billy Squier. I really liked Billy Squier growing up.
Yeah, Billy Squier was good.
Are you having problems with me?
I'm just keeping you cranked a little bit here. I'm just cranking you up a little bit, man. I'm just turning you up to 11.
11. Okay.
10? No, 11.
What you got?
Okay, so the next one that I want to pull off the list is it was his first post-Led Zeppelin album, and that's Robert Plant, "Pictures at 11." Yep. I still love "Burning Down One Side," which was kind of the biggest song off of that particular one. It was, like I said, it was his first solo effort after John Bonham passed away in Led Zeppelin. So it's 2 years after John Bonham passed away and Led Zeppelin kind of is no more. And then Robert Plant puts out "Pictures at 11," and it's really, really a solid album, the whole thing. What's next on the list for you?
Rush.
Signals. Yeah. Had Subdivisions on that?
Subdivisions is on that, and then "New World Man" was on there too, which is one of my go-tos.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's really a good one.
You can't go wrong with Rush, folks.
You can't. That was a fun concert. I'm glad we got to see them on their last ever tour. Also released at that time was a band called Axe. And they had a band called Offering, and there's only one song that I play off of that. I have it on Spotify, and I pull it up, and it's called "Rock and Roll Party in the Streets," and that's really the only thing they had that they ever got played on the radio. But yeah, that was released then. They never really did a lot after that. They were kind of, because that one really wasn't even a hit. It just kind of got a little bit of airplay. But they were kind of. I just brought them up because I liked them.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
song.
what this show's all about.
What you got?
Prince, 1999.
Listen, not really what you would, what most people would call a rock album. I beg to differ. He does everything. That's a bad man right there. That is a bad man.
Somebody asked Eric Clapton what it was like to be the greatest guitarist in the world, and his response was, "I don't know. Ask Prince."
Exactly.
Prince can smoke a guitar.
Here's the thing. On those albums, a lot of times he played everything. Yep. And one of the regrets I have is not being able to ever see him.
I didn't get to see him either, and I would have paid money.
I should have whenever he came. But yeah, Prince, 1999. That was huge, dude.
That's a huge album. I mean, it was a huge album in our life. I mean, everybody was playing that.
Everybody had that. Yep. Everybody had that.
And in 1999 on New Year's Eve, you don't think that was played like 7,000 times?
Oh, I'm sure it was. Here's a good one right here. Did you like Steely Dan?
I did. I did. I mean, I do. I still do.
Yeah. Donald Fagen released The Nightfly. Which, Donald Fagen, one of the members of Steely Dan. And to me, it still sounds a lot like a Steely Dan album, to be honest with you. But he released that one, and it has that song, What a Beautiful World, on there. And that was kind of his big solo hit on that. Yeah. What you got?
Van Halen, Diver Down.
A lot of people deride that album.
That's a good album, man.
So it's all covers. Yeah, but it's a great cover album.
It is a good album.
I defy you to just put that on and not tap your foot along with a lot of that. That is some really good stuff on there. Dancing in the Street on that one.
But the Grateful Dead did that also.
Yeah.
A lot of people covered that song.
A lot of people covered
that
song. It's a good tune. Yeah. But that entire album, it clocks, it's the shortest run of any Van Halen album. I think it clocks in like just a little bit over 30 minutes. I mean, it's barely 30 minutes long.
But you know what?
We
bought it.
It's a good half hour, and you'll enjoy yourself with it.
We bought it.
Yeah, I really liked Diver Down. As a matter of fact, I think my favorite one on there to this day is still Little Guitars.
I like the Little Guitars. You got to see that in concert. It was pretty good.
It's good.
For sure.
Now, for the metalhead that I am, I'm going to tell you right now that I really liked Saxon, The Eagle Has Landed. Now, a lot of people probably never listened to this, have never heard of Saxon before. Saxon was what was considered the new wave of British heavy metal that came around, that brought you bands like Def Leppard and Iron Maiden, all came out of that group of acts that were touring England at that time. But Saxon is just old school metal, and The Eagle Has Landed is just a great metal album. I've always had a copy of that ever since then.
I've never listened to it. I'd like to listen to it.
Yeah. Put that in your list, dude. Put that in your list and smoke it, mister.
I saw it a while ago. Oh, Billy Idol.
That debut album, White Wedding. That kind of all took everybody by surprise. We'd never heard any. The thing is that I wasn't a huge punk rock guy back in the day. I've gotten to more into that kind of music, the more punk type stuff, as time has gone on. And Billy Idol, when he came out with that, man, that had White Wedding on it, and it had a cool video to go along with it. That was in the early days of MTV, and man,
he never changed, man. That's what
he
I like
never
about
did.
Billy Idol.
And Steve Stevens, his guitar player, is amazing.
I think I probably said this before, man, but I like guys like Billy Idol that don't sell out.
They do their thing.
Robert Palmer.
Yeah.
Robert Palmer did his own thing. He finally made it big. He had several big hits. Yep. He's set for life, but he didn't change. He was always Robert Palmer. Yep.
Robert Palmer was cool, dude.
I like Robert Palmer.
The thing is that when everybody else was dressing in like whatever rock gear, Dude came out in 3-piece Armani suits.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Dude, that's style right there. That is style right there.
I agree. 100%.
Scorpions Blackout. No One Like You. That's the song.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm fixing to find out.
Yeah, there's no one like you.
You got good internet here?
I got really good internet
here. What the
here.
heck is going on?
Yeah.
There it is. Yep, No One Like You.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
not
as
me,
far
man,
as
'cause
radio,
I love that album.
As far as radio play goes,
yeah.
that was about it.
Yeah, that was about it. As far as radio, you're right. As far as radio play, but their Love at First Sting with and Rock You Like a Hurricane was their next album. That's what broke them huge.
It really that was a huge album for them.
Yeah. What you got, man?
I just saw it a while ago. Oh, the Go-Go's Vacation.
Man, the Go-Go's. Listen, those girls were talented.
They were.
They really, really were. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, they didn't really play." Yeah, they did. They were a real band, and they played their stuff, and I liked the Go-Go's. I liked their sound. I liked everything they did. They were new, man. They were kind of new wave punky things in the early 80s, and they fit the time perfectly.
I liked them. I'm trying to see what else on this album.
On which one? On the Go-Go's Vacation? Vacation was a big one on there.
I don't recognize any of these songs. If I heard them, I'd probably recognize.
Vacation was huge.
It was. I mean, I know that song.
Yeah.
I was just looking at Beauty and the Beat was a little
Beauty and the
big
Beat
album.
was a huge one. Yeah, the one that preceded this one was big. As far as live albums go, I know Blue Oyster Cult had Extraterrestrial Live. And Blue Oyster Cult was one of those bands I never got to see and kind of always wanted to.
I think that was
Back in the day.
one of my brother's first concerts.
Yeah.
Was Blue Oyster Cult and somebody. He's told me before. Hell, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't keep up with his music and mine too. Just can't do it.
Yeah, well,
Can't pull it off with this equipment, folks.
Can't pull it off with this equipment. I can't brainificate the way I need to. That's the problem right
Don't
there.
mess with Texas.
Don't mess with Texas. Okay, so one, because you kind of brought up the Go-Go's a while ago, and kind of in what would have been considered new wave at the time, kind of in that same vein. I don't know if you consider him new wave or not, but Joe Jackson.
I don't know who that is.
I really liked Joe Jackson, especially as I've gotten older and I've gone back and I've listened to some of that stuff. But he had a song called "Stepping Out" on that one that was really good. But yeah, Joe Jackson, I don't know, man. He's one of these guys, like you said, you like about Billy Idol and Robert Palmer. He's a guy that does his thing. He's in his little niche. He does what he does, but he does it really good. And I really like his music. It's good stuff.
I think that's important.
Yep.
To stick to your roots.
Yep.
I've seen so many bands change,
Sell out.
and they sell out, and
Yeah.
then one of two things happen: they either make it extremely huge, or they just disappear.
What? So here's what I saw a lot of in the 80s, and especially in the early 80s, in the time period that we're actually looking at here.
Right.
A lot of bands that really weren't metal bands, but they had like a hard sound. And they tried to make them into metal bands, and it just didn't work.
No.
But they tried to make some of these hard rock, they were hard rock, but they weren't metal, and they tried to make them into metal bands in the 80s. It just didn't work.
No.
There's a lot of those out there.
The next album I'm going to talk about is really it's a groundbreaking album in a lot of ways. I would consider it probably one of the greatest albums that's ever been put out by anybody, and that's any genre, and that's Michael Jackson, Thriller.
Thriller. I was wondering when you were going to bring that up, because that album right there, it honestly was a game changer in so many ways. The videos were next level. You looked at the Thriller video was a dang mini movie.
It was, and it was incredible.
It was incredible.
Like him, love him or not, that dude was extremely talented.
Yes, and it was a great album.
He's got dance moves that he ain't even pulled out yet, and he's been in the grave for over 15 years.
I know. It's amazing. But yeah, Michael Jackson, Thriller, huge album, game changer. Excellent, big time album.
That's not for an Apple phone. I was fixing to pull that up and be like, he's got one of those fans that plug into a USB port.
Well, see, here's the thing: is had you come here a month ago, I would have had plenty of those little fans that had the lightning connector, because Debbie uses those because she needs them.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. Trust me. My wife's trying to kill me.
But yeah, but she has got an iPhone 15 now.
Oh, well,
that has the USB-C.
Well, did you hear him throw that out there?
Oh,
She's
no,
got
no,
an
no, please.
iPhone 15.
Please understand.
She's got a 15.
I call that tax write-off. My wife is self-employed.
That's true. Got you.
So yeah, that's tax write-off 2023. Also on the list, Kiss, Creatures of the Night.
Yep. Well, I don't know what was on that album. I'm a huge Kiss fan.
I believe that had War Machine, and it was a hard rocking album when that one came out. But yeah, Creatures of the Night. That actually kind of brought them back to being a little bit more of a rock sound on that. That was a heavy album, dude. Creatures of the Night was a heavy album.
You know, they had some heavy stuff that in the early years that were really, really good.
Yeah.
The early albums, I would say anything before they took the makeup off was extremely good.
Yeah. There's a few things with the makeup off that was good. They put an album out.
There were several, but for the most part, I'm saying harder stuff.
Yeah.
More rock, less. At one point, they kind of sold out a little bit. Just a little.
Yeah, they did. Absolutely, they did.
So
there's no. I Was Made for Loving You. Come on, that was a disco song.
It kind of was. It kind of was.
You know, it was kind of like, oh well, this is kind of what's hot right now. Let's try that.
You know, there's a lot of albums on here that I'm looking at, going, man, I don't remember the album, but I do remember 38 Special Forces.
Yeah, had Chain Lightning on there.
38 Specials.
Chain Lightning is a big song off
I've seen them probably more than I've seen any other band.
Well, you know why? Because they came here every 6 months.
They did, man.
It was like
Such a good
one
band.
act would come in. Oh, 38 Special's coming again. Yeah, I'm going to go see them. Why?
Well, they came to UCA at one point, too.
Yeah, they
UCA
did.
got them, and I went and saw them there. Heck yeah, I'm going to 38 Special.
Yeah, because they're local now. You know, we ain't got to drive 20 miles away to see them. We can go see them right down the road over here. Another kind of big album that came out was Sammy Hagar's 3 Like Box.
Yes.
Year. Good song. Good album.
It was a good album.
I'm trying to see what else is on here. You see anything else that jumps out at you?
I mean, Ted Nugent, you can't ever go wrong with Uncle Ted. But for the life of me, I couldn't
There's
tell you what's
nothing
on that album.
I'm going to be honest with you. That's a forgettable album.
I'm sure it is. I mean, everybody's got one.
You know, he was trying. There's a couple of good cuts on there. There's one called "Bound and Gagged" that's pretty decent. That's kind of when Ted started being a little bit more Ted-like. If you understand what I mean.
I understand what you mean.
But for the most part, he had I don't know. It was one of the albums after Derek St. Holmes was the best singer that Ted Nugent ever had. And this one, the singer he brought in just wasn't up there with him. One album that I really liked that came out there that kind of put out, it wasn't as big as his next album that he would put out, but Glenn Frey put out his first post-Eagles album called No Fun Allowed.
Yeah, I looked at that one.
And it had one called Party Town on there. And they'll still play it every once in a while. That's a fun song. It's like one of those party anthem type songs, but it's a pretty good one.
But he did have several good hits. I'll tell you right now, Smuggler's Blues by Glenn Frey is still one of my all-time favorite songs.
Yeah, that was off of the next one next album he put out on there. And you're right, that was good. That got him on Miami Vice. I do believe. Speaking of Eagles, Don Henley also released one called I Can't Stand Still, and that had Dirty Laundry on there. And that was he had a big hit with that.
That was a big hit.
It's a big hit. As a matter of fact, he was playing that at Eagles shows.
Well, they all played their solo stuff.
Yeah, they all played their solo stuff. But yeah, that was one of his that he would play. Another one that was a big movie, the soundtrack to Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
my dad's a TV repairman. He's got an
Awesome
ultimate set of tools. I can fix it.
Hey, I know that, dude. But yeah, that album right there, it had Billy Squier, it had Sammy Hagar, it had Jimmy Buffett. I mean, you talk about a mixed bag on there.
Yep.
And of course, Jimmy Buffett did Spicoli's theme, which appropriate. So
I'm looking at some of these albums to see what was on them, to see if I was even listening to this.
which one?
The Tom Petty album.
Tom Petty, that would be Long After Dark. You know, I don't know if that was one of his bigger ones. I think he did have probably something on there because his catalog, I don't think he ever put an album out that didn't have something on there that didn't make kind of the Tom Petty catalog.
Well, this would have been his next album after Damn the Torpedo.
Which was a huge album, by the way.
It was.
Long After Dark.
I'm looking. Nah.
You don't see anything on there?
No.
Yeah, it was kind of,
I mean, I'd actually never heard of that album. That's why I was looking it up. I'm going.
You know, here's the thing. He put out his next big one. I think was. I'm trying to think. The one that had "Don't Come Around Here No More" was that the Plantation album. What was the name of that album? I can't remember.
Hang on.
That came out in, I think, 84.
Pack Up the Plantation.
Yeah, Pack Up that was 80,
it was 85.
Yeah, 85. The big album there.
American Girl's on that. Well, it's live. I'm sorry. This is a live album. It's got live cuts on it.
Oh, Long After Dark.
Right,
it might have been why that it was that's probably why I didn't have it at the time.
I mean, it's got Refugee live on there.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
American Girl, Breakdown.
You know, and
I'm a huge Tom Petty fan. I mean, when I say huge, I don't just run out and buy all his albums, but I can put Tom Petty on a playlist and just let it roll.
Oh yeah, me too. And I'm so glad that you and I and Joe Thrash got to go see.
Yeah, man, that was a great concert. We went and saw him cheap too.
Oh yeah,
it was cheap. Now we were in the back.
I asked what I owed you, and it was like, "Are you sure?"
I didn't. No, I didn't. I don't even think I made you pay for that.
Didn't even make you pay for that. Yeah, we just split the steak.
That's
what we did.
Did we?
Yeah.
Where?
With Doe's. We went to Doe's.
Oh.
Yeah, we did.
Oh. For all you folks out there that don't know about Doe's Eat Place, this is a little restaurant. This is a rabbit hole, folks. This is a little restaurant chain that started in Greenville, Mississippi, and you actually walk through the kitchen to get to the dining room. And they cook family-style steak dinners.
Yes,
and they have homemade tamales. And it is...
It's a fat boy's dream is what it is.
Fantabulous.
Amazing. It's just amazing.
It is very amazing.
Speaking of big debuts, in 82.
Doe's opened another restaurant?
Yes. With extra tamales. No, John Cougar, who would later become John Mellencamp, American Fool. And I know you have a Johnny Cougar story. Now, who is he opening for that he got booed up?
In 79.
That was stupid.
Do you think...
Who put that tour together?
I don't know, but do you think anybody in that Kiss crowd is ready for... I'm going to tell you about Jack and Diane.
I know.
Oh, my God. They literally booed him off the stage.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
They were throwing beer cans, trash cans. Get off the stage.
Get off
suck.
the stage. You're terrible. Yeah. Man, I've seen some cringeworthy opening bands before, but...
I mean, he actually... I like his music.
Oh, I do too, but that didn't fit at a Kiss concert. No. Whoever put that tour together did not know what they were doing, apparently. Anything else on the list you see?
Man, nothing just really jumps out.
Bob Seger, The Distance, came out that year.
I like Bob Seger.
I know you like some Bob Seger.
Album. And I'll tell you this, Bob Seger's one of those guys. He's got 2 live albums.
And you like those?
Pick both those up, and you're good.
Yeah, you're good with Bob
good
Seger.
to go.
He's really good live.
He is good live. I've seen him live.
And that's the thing about Bob Seger. His live albums are so good. It's like they're better, really, than the studio versions.
You mentioned my boy, Joe Thrash, earlier. Me and Joe ran around together a lot in high school, and we split the 9 to Night album.
Yeah.
Depending on whose vehicle was in, we'd have to have the Bob Seger going.
Got to have it on.
And we always sit there and say, if he ever comes, man, we're going.
We're going,
We're going. Well, he never came. He never came.
And it's been...
I'm not sure. I've lost years here, but
Right.
I mean, we're in our house that we're in now, so it's been in the last at least 20 years.
Right.
Cindy he was coming to Verizon.
Oh,
and Cindy
yeah.
gave me 2 tickets for Christmas. And I said, "You're going to love this." And she said, "I'm not going." And I said, "Well, I know who is."
I know who's
I
going.
called Joe and I said, "What are you doing February, whatever?" And he said, "I don't know what you got." I said, "We're going to Bob Seger." Cindy just gave me 2 tickets. We're going. And we did. And I'll tell you a funny story about that real quick. You know, every song he'd come out there and he'd be like, "We wrote this song back in 72 over in Muskogee, Oklahoma, and da-da-da." He go, there's one song that he didn't do that on. And he walked to the front of the stage, and when he got to the front of the stage and got to the microphone, the band went, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and that place exploded.
Erupted.
There were 2 people sitting down. It was me and Joe. Everybody else was dancing
on
in the
their
aisles.
feet.
I mean, but I'm so burnt out on that song.
I was going to say that. Dude, I was going to say that. I love Bob Seger, but they have burned old-time rock and roll for me so much that I'm like you. I would have said, I mean,
But
he
the
would.
thing-
I mean, he had to do it.
The thing about it is, the thought that went through my head as I'm looking around this stadium, basically, and everybody's up dancing and jamming and singing, and I'm looking at him and I'm going, that has to be the biggest rush for any artist.
Oh, yeah.
To have that one song that everybody just
And they
goes
just go-
ape crazy over.
Yeah, ape crazy. That's what we'll say.
Ape crazy.
Ape crazy.
Yeah, it almost came out.
That's okay. I'll be editing.
Yeah, Eddie Money had an album come out that year, but I'm not a huge Eddie Money fan.
You know what, man? I really do like Eddie Money, but there was a lot of good stuff.
There's a lot of music we don't agree on.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not disagreement. It's just you like them. I don't really care for them that much.
But that's a big album. No Control was a big album for Eddie Money. It had Shakin' and I Think I'm in Love.
And that's the one. I don't know, man.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
I don't really see anything. What's on that Rick Springfield album? He was real big.
Rick Springfield. Okay, so that had Success, and that was a follow up to that big one there. And I think it has, I don't know, it might have Love Is All Right Tonight on there. I am not for sure. I just know it was a big album. Everything Rick put out between like 81 and 84, all the girls liked Rick.
Oh, yeah.
So if Rick came to town, you had to go see Rick. Okay, so here's a story about Rick Springfield. I took Debbie down here to, we have a university here where we live called University of Central Arkansas, and they have a performance center here, and they have different acts, and they brought Rick Springfield in, and it wasn't his whole band. It's just he came out with a guitar, and he told stories, and he played music. And I'm going to tell you right now, I was thoroughly entertained. Dude does a great job, and then I've seen him with his band before too. And
I've actually seen him. He's
really
in
good.
concert. I don't recognize any songs on this, but I will tell you this. Just looking on Spotify,
Yeah.
Rick had an album out 81, 83, 84, 82,
Yeah. Rick had albums out.
88,
Rick made bank in the 80s.
85.
Yeah. And Rick still makes bank.
Yeah, he
Rick,
does. He's got some
listen,
hits.
dude, he's like right now, there are some postmenopausal women out there that still just get all fired up over Rick Springfield at this time.
He's got an album from 1972.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Called The Beginnings.
Yeah.
Just Beginnings. Wow.
Well, his story is Rick came over here from Australia, and he tried to make it music and really wasn't doing anything. And so then he gets a job as an actor. He's on a soap opera for years.
I remember that.
And so he's a soap opera actor.
What was he on? Was he on? what was it?
General Hospital.
Yeah, that's right.
And so he's on General Hospital. Well, his music starts to take off while he's on General Hospital, because on Working Class Dog, which I think was the 81 album that had Jesse's Girl, it was like where he broke huge. On there, they actually brought in a guy by the name of Neil Girardo, who is Pat Benatar's husband. And he's the one that wrote all the stuff for Pat Benatar. Well, he wrote a lot of the stuff and did the guitar work for Rick on there. He wrote all those riffs.
Yeah, we've talked about Pat before. I'm a
huge Pat Benatar fan.
Saw her in concert. We saw her.
We saw her at the same time.
Hey, Working Class Dog.
Yeah.
I'm looking on here. Jesse's Girls on there. Love Is All Right Tonight.
Yep. That's a big album. But yeah, his follow-up also did good to Success Hasn't Spoiled. It wasn't to the level of the previous year's release, but it did okay for him. He did all right.
He got plenty of money.
He got some money. Some other releases that year I know you don't like them, but Duran Duran Rio, huge.
You know what?
album.
I looked at that earlier and I thought, yeah, that was a pretty big album, man.
I
was going to actually mention them, but for my brain just will not connect with Duran Duran.
The Alan Parsons Project, Eye in the Sky. That's a great song.
I love that song. That's a good tune.
That's a good tune.
I agree with you, 100%.
Genesis had a big album, then 3 Sides Live, which was 3 sides of live stuff. And then they had like Paper Late and Turn It On Again. So it was 3 sides live and 1 side studio stuff that came in. Survivor, Eye of the Tiger. I don't know if I talked about that, but
we
Rocky
didn't.
3.
But that was huge.
Big album.
Especially that song, Eye of the Tiger. It was huge because of the Rocky.
Yeah. Rocky made that band.
It really did.
Rocky 3 made that band.
It really did.
I'm telling you, it did. Steve Miller actually had Abracadabra
come
and
out.
Dude, I love Steve Miller Band.
I've always liked Steve Miller Band.
I have never not had a copy of Greatest Hits 74 to 79.
Smiley, you ever listen to the Steve Miller Band?
The Steve Smiley, we're gonna give you a shout out because Smiley is our most enthusiastic Facebook poster, and so Smiley, we're going to give you a shout out on this.
Smiley, I know you listen to Steve Miller Band.
I know you listen to
Steve Miller Band with you.
Other releases that year that you may not have remembered, Aerosmith released Rock in a Hard Place. It's the only album without Joe Perry. That's probably why you don't remember it.
What the hell? Why was he not in it?
Okay, so this is about the time when they were probably deepest in their drug addictions. I mean, like it got to a point where they couldn't be around each other. So Joe Perry leaves and he forms the Joe Perry Project.
I cannot be even singing with him. He's got tentacles coming out of his face.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the only one. I've tried to listen to it before. It's pretty forgettable. But yeah, man, 82 was just a big year, though, man. Like you said, Asia, Iron Maiden,
Ozzy Osbourne,
Toto. Oh, let me talk about Ozzy Osbourne, Speak of the Devil, because we just saw, like I said, Night Ranger. And during this recording of this album, Randy Rhoads had been killed in a plane crash.
Oh, it already?
Yes.
I didn't realize
and
it died that early.
This Speak of the Devil was a live album that was nothing but old Black Sabbath covers that Ozzy recorded, which at the time, I guess they weren't old. But, you know.
Did he record? Was
was
Randy Rhoads on that album?
No.
Okay.
That's Brad Gillis from Night Ranger.
And that's a sad day right there, Jack.
Yeah. But Randy Rhoads, I got to see him 2 weeks before he passed away.
You said that when we talked about this before.
So yeah, but yeah, the Ozzy Osbourne "Speak of the Devil" album, big album. It's a good album. You can't. It's kind of hard to find now, to be honest with you. I don't even think it's on Spotify or any of the streaming services.
We're going to find out.
He's going to check while I'm looking at other acts on here.
I don't see anything else. I'll be honest with you.
Let's see. Dire Straits' "Love Over Gold" has one of my favorite Dire Straits songs ever, and that's "Industrial Disease." I love that song.
I looked at that. That sounds familiar, but
Eagles' Greatest Hits Volume 2. You know, if you're,
what was I looking for?
You were looking at the Ozzy album, or
I mean, I said I'll look. I'll find out.
Oh,
what was it?
I can't remember. We'll have to rewind.
Smokes. Wow.
See what happens, folks, when you get a little bit older. You ever have that thing where you walk into a room and then you don't know why you went in there?
Yeah. Oh, I was looking to see if this album was on Spotify. It's not.
It's not. Yeah.
It goes from Diary of a Madman in 81 to Bark at the Moon in 83.
Right.
And I can't ever read that album without going, Bark at the Moon.
Bark at the Moon. Da, 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 da. His one album with Jake. Was Jake E. Lee on that one? He might have been on the next one too. But yeah, Jake E. Lee's a bad man on a guitar. Folks, listen, we have gone through this list exhaustively on
Hey,
albums.
if we didn't mention your favorite album, that's okay.
If we didn't, yeah, you can
It
jump on
still be your
Facebook and
favorite
tell
album.
us.
Yeah, tell
"Well,
us.
you didn't do that. Well, you can find us on Facebook, and you know how you can get to our Facebook link. Chris, tell them how they can get to our Facebook link. They can go to retroshow.net. They can also call us. And Chris, I know you know that number.
It's 501.
Yeah, 697-99-33. The you got to find the button, people.
697-99-33.
But folks, listen, we cannot thank you.
Have you ever gotten a blank look like that before? Chris, tell her how to get.
Folks, if you could only see the look in his face, like, I don't remember that right now. What are you trying to get me to say? I don't know what you're trying to do here, man.
We don't know what we're doing.
We don't know what we're doing, guys. We're just two old guys on a microphone, and that's okay. Listen, we thank all of you for listening.
Absolutely.
Sincerely, we do. Become a producer. Go to retroshow.net. Make your day, people.
AMF, guys.